Hey guys, and welcome back. And welcome to part 4 of the 6-video project that I'm working on, where I take cars from previous Gran Turismo games and rate them on a scale of how likely they are to actually come back into the series. This time, we're gonna be covering cars from Gran Turismo 4. And if you're wondering why I'm not talking about cars such as the R32 Skylines or the XJ220 LM and whatnot, that's because this video is dedicated to only newcomers from Gran Turismo 4. So buckle the fuck up, because this game had a ton of newcomer cars. And so, with that clarified, let's get into the list. Starting off with the AC Cars 427. And being honest, I do not see a reason why Polyphony would bring this car back. It may be on the leaked list, however, I don't really see that increasing its already low chances of coming back. But at least the odds are not non-existent, unlike the Giulia Sprint GTA, which is not coming back, purely to the fact that it has been replaced by the Giulia Sprint GT Veloce. I wouldn't say this car's odds are the most likely, but I also wouldn't say it is as unlikely as some of the cars we'll be getting into later. Alfa Romeo hasn't really been getting much attention into adding new cars, let alone returning ones, which is why I wouldn't see this one being very likely. And the exact same thing can be said for the 147 Twin Spark. And also because I don't see the standard one returning over the premium one. I'm pretty sure this car is pretty obscure to the rest of the Alfa Romeo lineup, which is why I don't see it being a priority. Being honest, Alpine did not get a single car added post-launch, so that's why I don't see the A310 being likely. Or any Alpine edition for that matter. I know that Polyphony has been adding tuning cars to the game recently, but I do not see the S2000 Street version being one of them, nor the S2000 R1. Once again, we're talking about possibilities, not miracles. I'm pretty sure this has been replaced by the S2000 GT1 Turbo heading into GT Sport onwards, which is exactly why I don't see this being anything other than an F tier. And I know it may be unfortunate to hear, but the same can be said for the Carbon R. Another case where I don't see the standard one returning over the premium one. And I wouldn't say the Vanquish is that much more likely. I know people may be upset to hear this about the Auto Union, but it's an instant F tier, no questions. I'm pretty sure the odds of this one specifically coming back are low, but not zero. The R8 Le Mans prototype, however, falls into the exact same category as the Auto Union. This Audi is not only the ugliest, but it also has the ugliest chances of coming back. See what I did there? Anyways, I would say the S3 falls into the exact same category and the A3 as well. But that's mainly because cars that are actually driven by real people have never had the highest chances of returning in general. As for the 2003 S4, I wouldn't say it's the least likely, but I also wouldn't say it is more likely than the 1998. If it's a concept car, that should be a no-brainer that it's an E tier at best. Which is why I don't see this, the new Volare Quattro, or the Le Mans Quattro returning. I wouldn't say it's the least likely race car to come back, but it definitely is one of the less likely DTM cars to come back. I'm pretty sure this car fell into obscurity after its initial release in 2002. And that is what I call a match made in E tier. And I do not see the JGTC version of it coming back either. Or at least this model of it. I don't really see Bentley ever returning to the series, but even if it does, I do not see the Speed 8 being one of the cars that they add. I also do not see Blitz coming back, but even if it did, I do not see the standard one being the one that they bring back, or add in general. I know this suffers from the old car syndrome, but I wouldn't say as much as the other cars given that it actually appeared in the data mines. It's not the least likely, but it's also not the most likely either. Just sort of on the middle ground between the two. And the V12 LMR also falls into the latter D tier category. People may be begging Polyphony to bring this car back, however, I do not see that really happening anytime soon. and the 320i is even less likely than that. And out of all the 3 series that appear in the game, I do not see any of them coming back unless it's the CSL or the GTR road car. I can guarantee you both of the 1 series are not coming back unless a miracle happens, which I highly assume the said miracle will not happen. And the 330i also follows what I said earlier about the 3 series. I would say this is unlikely if it weren't for Polyphony prioritizing this over the 2008 from GT5. Same can be said for the Buick GNX, as it is also a priority regarding returning cars. The Buick Special, on the other hand, is not a priority, even if Polyphony said something about bringing back SEMA winners. Even though there is a data mined Caterham, yeah, it has already been confirmed that the 7 Fireblade is not the said data mined car. Once again, we encounter old car syndrome. Not only that, but it's also a Citroën, which I really don't like discriminating against them, but I seriously do not see it ever returning to the series. Same can be said for the C3. It is not coming back unless it is the newer one. If the Xara rally car was not likely, I can guarantee you the Xara road car is not likely. And neither is the C5, proving what I said last time, that Citroën editions are doomed to be forgotten. This would have been an E-tier like the Quattro concepts, but the difference is that this is not a standard nor a concept, which easily gives me the right to bump it up to a D-tier. I unfortunately do not see the Move RS being a priority over the Move CX from 95. F-tier trio. Mainly because these 3 have already been replaced by the premium Fiat 500 from GT5. And same can be said for the Panda, as it has been replaced by the 1985. The Punto is a car for the casuals, which, as we all know, Polyphony recently has been physically incapable of being casual with their picks, which results in it and the Barchetta being E-tiers for most part. 7 unlikely cars in a row must be a new record. But yeah, even though it's not very likely to come back, I wouldn't say it is joining the 97 version of it in F tier. And the Ginetta G4 makes that 8 unlikely cars in a row, because I do not see it returning ever. Instant F tier, and if anybody tries to argue with me, you are wrong on so many levels. Same can be said for the HKS Sylvia, honestly. I mean, do you really think Polyphony will get their Genki license back? Unfortunately, the sole fact that Holden was defunct drastically decreases the chances of these 2 returning. I feel like at this point the Hummel Berlinette is just a burning memory. The Honda S500 is likely not coming back, mainly because it and the S600 are now living in the shadow of the S800, which already came back. I know this is one of those funny slow cars, but in general those do not have a high chance of arriving. What also doesn't help its case is that it's the most forgettable one. The same way how the S800 RSC is the most forgettable race car in the game. Which is why I do not see it being anything above an E tier. And the Honda Z-Act unfortunately joins it in E tier. I mean, let's be honest, does anyone actually want this car to return? Thankfully, this is where the streak of unlikely cars ends, because the odds of the 1300 Coupe returning are not a miracle nor non-existent like the previous 18 cars that we covered. I know it's a slow car, but unlike the N360 or the Z-Act, this does actually have a little fan base of its own. And they may or may not be begging Polyphony to bring this car back, even though it may not have very much confirmation. But I'm pretty sure the sole fact that it has some fans backing it up allows it to join the 1300 Coupe in D tier. I can't help but feel like this one got replaced by the 1987, which was added not too long ago. And because of that, I'm pretty sure the not so popular 1979 has a higher chance of coming back. Now I know the Ballot Sport may not be very likely, but it is not the least likely one on the list. It's far from it, actually. I'd even say the Honda City is less likely than it. It's just not very popular out of the Hondas that appeared in the game. It may have been funny to bring it back, but I unfortunately do not see that happening. Nor do I see them bringing back the Mugen Motul Civic Si. Again, because there's a road version that replaced it. I don't really have much to say about this one, other than the fact that it may or may not be added. It's basically on the middle ground in terms of likeliness. I unfortunately do not see the Gather's Drider Civic coming back ever. Same can be said for the Honda Insight honestly, but that's mainly because it falls into the funny car category. Honestly, it's kinda hard for me to tell whether it's this or the year 2000 model that's more likely to come back. I said it many times and I'll say it again, we're talking about possibilities, not miracles. And even though the Honda Odyssey isn't as much of a miracle as the Element, I still don't see it being very likely. Another case of me not really seeing the standard one returning over the premium one. As for this one, it may or may not become the very next Honda Civic to come back, but no guarantee of course. This isn't really likely in my eyes, mainly because we did not get anything from Hyundai pre-2010, which decreases its chances of coming back, and same can be said for the Tuscany. Given in what direction Isuzu is going with their brand, I really do not see any of these cars coming back, apart from maybe the Piazza. But even then, I highly doubt the brand is coming back. And I'm also not going to pretend that the Jensen Interceptor is the most likely car on the list when it obviously isn't. I do not see the Lancia Stratos rally car coming back either. If anything, it's more likely that the Delta S4 is gonna come back. Do I even really need to say anything about this one? It's a concept car. And if you don't mind, I'm quickly gonna go over the Lexus road cars. Not likely, not likely, might be likely, not likely, and might be likely. And this is also going off the fact that, just like Hyundai, we did not get any Lexus pre-2010. I'm pretty sure most people watching this video didn't even know this car was in the game, given it's exclusive to the Korean version. Either way, this, just like many cars on the list, is not likely. I know it may be on my leaked list, but that's not enough to guarantee that it'll return. Even if an Esprit were to return, I do not see the Turbo HC being that said Esprit. I also do not see the Carlton being the one Lotus that they bring back alongside the brand. Behold, the most likely Lotus out of all of them to come back, which is saying a lot. If Elise's were to also come back, I unfortunately do not see that Elise being the 111S. And if the said Elise was the 111R, I could easily understand, since that's the only 2000s Elise that was actually a premium in the PS3 days. Meanwhile, the Mini Marcos is pretty unlikely if you ask me. Hell, I don't even think this is an actual debate. And the Carol 360 Deluxe also follows it into E tier. Now, let's take a little break to take a look at cars from Gran Turismo Concept. Even though it's a race car, I wouldn't say it is a very likely one at that. While the Audi RS4 just doesn't have much confirmation going for it, what can I say? The RS6 Avant, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. And that's mainly because it appears on the data mines, which unfortunately the regular RS6 does not have that comfort. It's a concept car. I can guarantee you not a single concept is very likely in my eyes. Funny car syndrome strikes again, as I do not see the Fit W returning. Nor do I see the Accent being very likely in the rally car category. The LeBron Tiburon is gone from the likeliness chart. Jokes aside, this also follows into what I said earlier about Hyundai. Unfortunately, the S-Type R is just not likely. And even though the XKRR performance may follow into the exact same category, it's still more likely than the S-Type. I also do not see why this would be the priority over literally any other Lexus that could return. You might say this is pretty likely given that we already have the race car version of it, and I do understand where this argument is coming from, but unfortunately I do not see the road version of the SC430 coming back. Nor do I see the standard Elise coming back over the 111R. I mean, it's a limited edition. Obviously, it's not gonna be very likely. Even though many people would beg to differ, I do not see the Mazda 6 touring car and the RX-8 LM as anything other than a burning memory. There's actually one fact that backs this car up, and it's the fact that Polyphony really likes adding powerful versions of certain cars. Just the sole fact that it was a premium in the future games instantly makes it the most likely car out of Gran Turismo concept. Mini did not get a single car added since GT Sport days, which is exactly why I do not see any of them returning. Now I know this may be the most likely version of the Zonda, but still, it's Pagani. There is no guarantee that they'll ever add anything new or old. The Pescarolo Courage is not coming back unless a miracle happened, and there's really nothing you can say that changes my mind. Polyphony's likely not bringing this car back because it would be nothing but a duplicate to the Clio V6. Let's be honest, I bet most of you forgot this was even a car in GT concept. Yeah, I hate to do this, but F tier. Same can be said for the 2001 and 2003 versions of the Impreza rally car. Because having more than one Impreza rally car in GT7 could be redundant. Instant F tier, no questions. Instant E tier because this car is just really obscure compared to literally any other Toyota edition. I don't care what anybody tells me, this is an instant F tier. The sole fact that they made this a premium for some reason instantly increases its chances of coming back. Hell, I'd say it's one of the more likely Volkswagens to come back in the entire series. Concept car equals E tier. You should probably get that gist by now. And unfortunately for all the Lupo Cup car fans, I do not see the GTI version coming back either. And that's the end of that little detour. We can now return to the main list. I know the Cosmo Sport may not be the least likely thing in the world, but even then I do not see this version of it coming back. Hell, I'd say Polyphony would rather bring back the 1968 instead. And we run into another car driven by the casuals. Not that I really have anything against those kind of cars, but it's just that they're not very likely. What can I say? I also do not see them bringing back the Demio Sport over the original Demio from the previous games. We also run into another reality check for people who refuse to look at things realistically. The RX-7 LM is not coming back. I know the touring car is not entirely a lost cause, but I also do not see it as the very next DTM to return. What I said earlier about Polyphony liking powerful versions of certain cars, which means that the odds of the SL600 and the SL65 returning are low, but never zero. The two MGs, on the other hand, are not returning. I know it's upsetting to hear, but realism over meme potential. Which, I know it's not an MG, but the joke of owning a Mini 1 has already run its course through the series. Jokes aside, this still isn't coming back. And neither will the standard Mini Cooper. Because the general audience would just see it as nothing but a duplicate to the 2005 that we already have. I know the series back then was heavily biased towards Japanese cars, but that isn't really the case anymore in GT7. Which means this suffers from old car syndrome just as much as any other car from every other region. Same can be said for the Lancer 1600 GSR. But even if it did return, I wouldn't really mind it as a classic little Mitsubishi. Even if it's definitely more likely than the rally car version of it. And the classic Mirage, which, as far as I know, does not have any fans backing it up, or begging Polyphony to bring it back. The Lancer EX is also very unlikely, like the said Mirage. Still though, both of their odds are not non-existent, unlike the Starion rally car. And the Mitsubishi Pajero falls into the same category, honestly. I wouldn't say it is the least likely key car to come back, but I also wouldn't say that it is more likely than the 1990 from GT2. The Mitsubishi Galant lineup in general isn't very popular, which is why I do not see Polyphony prioritizing it. Nor do I see them prioritizing stuff like the HSR2. It's not likely and it never will be likely. Unlike the first two Lancer evolutions, which I definitely see them bringing back in Gran Turismo 8 for some reason. even if people will see them as duplicates to the Evo 3. I know it's a Lancer Evo rally car, but Mitsubishi themselves really do not care about rally anymore. And I don't really see how Polyphony can get the license back for the rally car after Mitsubishi stopped caring about rallying. Being honest, whether it's this or the version from GT2 that's more likely to come back is entirely debatable. Funny car syndrome once again. I seriously do not know why they would feel the need to bring back the Colt of all cars. And the Pajero Evolution, despite having very different reasons for not coming back, is also joining it in E tier, with this thing also following it. And the reasoning for that is because the Super Rally car is just not super enough for them to bring it back. I know they might bring back a Mitsubishi Eclipse, but I do not see that said Eclipse being the 2006. Even though Polyphony prioritizes tuning cars now, I do not see them really bringing back the Fairlardy Z tune. And yeah, this also follows the exact same problem that many tuning cars have, of not being a possibility, but rather a miracle. Even though classic cars are not very likely, they're still not a lost cause in terms of actually returning. Still, I know they're on the lower end of likeliness, but yeah, that's still better than being in F tier. I bet most of you didn't even know the original Silvia was in Gran Turismo 4. Which pretty much highlights the problem with this car. It's pretty unknown even though it's in the game. And this also lands a spot in D tier, even though I don't see it being more likely than the 1500 Deluxe. Or the Fairlardy 2000 for that matter. Which, yeah, it may not have more confirmation than it, but it definitely is more known. Which unfortunately cannot be said for the Bluebird lineup. But even then, it is still a possibility. Even more so than the Bluebird rally car, which is not coming back unless a miracle happens. We already have some classic Fairlardy Zs in the game, which is why I don't see the 280Z being a priority. While the Bluebird hardtop pretty much just joins the classic Bluebird in being a D tier. Now I know it's pretty boring seeing me put all these cars in D tier, but I really do not see any of these older Nissans being that likely. And the Silvia 240 RS unfortunately falls into that set category along with its rally car variant. Funny car syndrome once again, because the BE1 is not coming back into the series. And as much as people will be upset to hear this, neither will the POW. And on the other end, we have cars such as the R32 GT7. Which, I don't have much to say about this one that I didn't already say about the one from GT2. Other than mentioning the fact that it's on par with it in terms of likeliness. I do not see any Calsonic sponsored race cars coming back given that Calsonic itself was defunct not too long ago. Which means we have to face the horrible reality of the R89C and the Calsonic Skyline R32 not coming back. I wouldn't say it is the least likely JDM car, but I wouldn't say it is more likely than the previous Stagia I talked about. Not only is this a car for the casual, but it's also a sort of funny car, which is pretty much the worst of both worlds when it comes to returning cars. The pace car is not coming back. You know why? Because there's an R35 GTR version of it that replaced it. I'm pretty sure people already watched long enough into the video to remember that funny cars do not have a chance of arriving like ever. And in my opinion, neither will the obscure tuning car that is the Option Stream Z. I seriously do not see why they would want to bring back the Opals that appeared in previous games. Nor do I see why they'd want to bring back any car from Opera Performance or even bother to gain back their license. For a car that barely had any information about it anywhere online, it should be a no-brainer that it's an F tier. Even though this is the way more likely Pescarolo to come back, I still do not see the brand itself returning. The sole fact that we got the 205 GTI not too long ago already solidifies that we're not getting the Turbo 16. Or the rally car version of it, because it would be nothing but a duplicate to the Evo 2. Even though it's probably more likely than most of the race cars on this list, I still don't see it coming back that soon. Like I said in the GT2 video, I do not see why they would bring back the 206 road car. I also do not see why they want to bring back either of the 106s other than to piss off the community. Same goes for the 206 RC, even though it's not as much of a casual pick as most of the casual picks on this list. Needless to say, Peugeot in this game has a ton of casual picks. Same can be said for Renault, which doesn't really have any road cars apart from the not so visually appealing Renault Meganes. And also the only Renault which I feel is somewhat a possibility of being brought back. While this would just be a duplicate to the Clio V6 that we already have. Out of all the roofs that can be possibly brought back, I do not see that roof being the BTR. Yet another car for the casuals. And it's also a SAT, which I highly doubt they're gonna bring it back. The same way how I highly doubt the Spoon Fit race car is gonna come back. Again, funny car syndrome. I know it's a classic Subaru, but I do not really see it being that likely. But I would say this is the most likely funny car to come back, but honestly, that does not say much. I know it would be a duplicate to the other ones, but what's so wrong in adding the original spec Impreza? Still, I'd say it's one of the less likely JDMs. Just like how the Auto Lapin Turbo is one of the less likely key cars. Oh, and the Keyworks and MR Wagon Sport too. Even though it appeared on the Datamined list, I do not see it being one of the more likely cars on the said Datamined list. This, just like the GT40, has the problem of being a classic race car. What brings down the odds of this car is just how obscure it is compared to most of the Toyota lineup. You may not know this, but the main sponsor of the car, Minolta, was actually defunct a couple years back. Which, yeah, because of that, I highly doubt the Minolta Toyota is coming back. The Serra pretty much follows the exact same problem as the Carina, and is the fact that it's pretty obscure in the Toyota lineup. Even though this is the much more known variant of the Starlet, I don't really see it being above a C tier because it's a standard car. The OG Prius is likely not coming back because, like I said earlier, realism over meme potential. The Caldina is also not very likely, but that's mainly due to it being also pretty obscure. I honestly don't know why we need the Wet Sport Celica if not even the road version of it is back yet. Yeah, this is another match made in E tier. So is the Tacoma, given we did not get a single pickup truck added in Gran Turismo 7's life cycle. The Trial Celica also belongs in E tier next to the Mugen and the TRD. A car that nobody talks about? Yeah, this is an obvious E tier. I don't really see the T350C being the TVR that they prioritize in bringing back. But that's because the premium Tamora is right there. And it's easily the most likely TVR to join the Tuscan in the GT7 lineup. While the V8S joins the T350C in being D tier. I hate having to repeat myself, but if Opel is not getting much priority, then Vauxhall's not getting priority either. I honestly think the people who are begging Polyphony to bring this car back are too blindsided to notice that the Beetle 1200 already replaced it, which makes it way less likely to come back than the Carman. I can't help but feel like this, just like the Beetle, has already been replaced by a much newer variant. I know it may be unfortunate to hear for all the people who like the Lupo, but I do not see it or the GTI coming back. The Bora is not that much more likely, honestly, even if it's a way more worthwhile addition than the Lupos. The Golf R32 unfortunately follows it into D tier as well, which I don't know if this was obvious already, but it's probably being overshadowed by the Golf Mark V, which is a premium in the PS3 games. Yup, because of that, this car is on par with the Mark IV in terms of being one of the most likely Volkswagens to return. And finally, the Volvo S60 is not likely. I don't know what you were expecting. And overall, that is the list. An interesting selection of 31 newcomers from GT Concept and 214 newcomers from GT4 that didn't return to the series yet. If you agree or disagree with the points I made in the video, let me know in the comment section. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm gonna go finish the other 2 videos of the project before I set another tournament as my main priority. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.